Welcome to WIC's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program produced in partnership with the Rapidian, our hyperlocal news service at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. Community Close-Up brings you a diverse perspective from community leaders throughout West Michigan, and this is WIC Station Manager Phil Tower in studio. On this week's episode with Michele Suchovsky, she is the Chief Executive Officer of Paws With A Cause. The website is pawswithacause.org. So probably everything we talk about you can find there, pawswithacause.org. Michele, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Phil.
I am so glad you have made your way to Bridge Street in our studios here inside the Community Media Center. I don't know anybody who has spent some time in West Michigan who's not familiar with Paws With A Cause. You guys have been around for a long time.
1979, actually.
79?
Yeah, I know.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to serve as a board member with your founders, Mike and Candy Sapp. The organization has evolved. You've grown. You're still in Wayland, right?
Still based in Wayland, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Big facility. The worldwide headquarters for Paws With A Cause are there. And you just completed a $10 million capital campaign. You renovated your campus. Just give us a real quick overview of why that campaign was important, Michele.
Sure. Well, like I said, we've been around since 1979. We moved into our campus in 1993 and, retrofitted it. And a lot has happened in the last 40 years. Technology is very different. The way you kennel dogs is very different. We added a staff veterinarian. We did not have a vet clinic. So we really knew we had to do some really different things and to make our spaces more efficient, to better take care of our dogs, to help our training spaces. At the end of the day, Paws With A Cause exists to help people live with independence, and dignity and freedom. And the only way we can do that is if we have the best centers to be able to train our dogs to be able to be their life partners. So we really started a vision. Back in 2019, we had that first conversation. Of course, we all know what happened in 2020, so I won't get into that. But, we dusted off those ideas again in late 2021 and said, we have a real need. We want to serve more people. We want to be able to do it better. We added facility dogs for schools and hospitals. And so we really wanted a space to be able to meet those growing community needs.
Who qualifies for a Paws service dog? I know I see people on your social media. You guys do such a great job of telling your stories. But the typical person who qualifies is what? Yeah,
so an assistance dog is a dog that has been specifically task trained for somebody with a disability to mitigate their disability. So I think that's really important. That is a definition under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So for anybody applying for assistance dogs, that would be the starter. For Paws With A Cause, we train in place currently 4, and we're adding a 5th category in January. So we train in place hearing dogs for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, mobility assistance dogs for people who have any type of mobility disability, seizure response dogs, and then dogs for children with autism. And then this coming 2026, we're adding medical alert detection, so POTS detection and diabetes detection.
POTS detection, which is?
Yeah, POTS is a condition that often causes somebody's blood pressure to drop really fast. They will pass out and you can really get hurt. And so a dog can both help assist with the person when they're having an episode to help gain their balance again, come back to consciousness, or it can also help detect when the blood pressure is starting to drop so that they can get to a safe place, maybe take some medicine. So really specific skills like that.
And they're really incredibly talented, these service dogs, what they can do. And it's really exciting to see that you are working across a spectrum of mobility challenges, people with disabilities, and people across the country can apply for a service dog?
Yeah, so we have service dog teams in 20 states. We're really east of the Mississippi and Arizona. I like to say everybody in Michigan ends up in Arizona or Florida sometime. Yeah, so we have a pocket there. But yeah, so we really serve east of the Mississippi, and we're really unique. Like I said, we started in 1979. And for people who don't know our history, really guide dogs have been around for over 100 years. years, but it wasn't until the 70s that somebody said, hey, maybe it works for other types of people. And so it wasn't a far jump to helping people who are deaf or hard of hearing. So we were actually one of the first organizations in the country to place a hearing dog. And so we've been around for a long time, and we have a really large base across the country that we serve.
I've seen these PAWS service dogs do their thing. It's amazing. Things like opening a door. Can you describe, this is radio, so we all have to paint a picture.
Sure, yeah.
Can you describe some of the things that service dogs do for someone, for instance, with mobility limitations?
Yeah, you know, it's really important. So one of the things when we sit down with a client, we talk about what does their lifestyle look like? What are the things that are their pain points? So is it being able to open a door? Is it being able to pick something up? Or it could be anything like maybe they struggle going through a threshold. So a lot of people, especially with Parkinson's disease, they get to a point where they can't go through thresholds. All our dogs can help with those types of tasks. So we start with that conversation and we were like, how do we help you live your best independent life? What do you want to be able to do? And how does the dog become your partner in that? So it could be anything from, you mentioned opening doors. That's so amazingly critical. Think about somebody who maybe uses a power wheelchair. It may be hard to really get to that push plate to be able to push it. The dog is able to do that for you. Open the door so that you don't have to worry about it. Or if you drop something, being able to have that dog pick it up, you don't have to ask somebody else for help. You don't have to lose your own balance. And the dogs love doing it. They've been born and bred to work, and they want to be with their people. I mean, think about if you have a pet dog at home. They want nothing more than to be with their person all the time. That's what our dogs get to do, is they get to be with their person and they get to really do life-changing work.
Your trainers really have a gift, Michele. We're speaking with Michele Suchovsky. She is Chief Executive Officer of Paws With A Cause. PawsWithACause.org. Your trainers are incredibly talented in the training that they do, but the whole process of a dog becoming a service dog, from puppy to young adult to fully trained adult ready to be placed, it begins with a person who wants to foster a puppy or who is qualified to foster a puppy. You were telling me before we turned on our microphones, this is a year-round need, a year-round opportunity.
It is, absolutely. You know, it takes about 2 to 2.5 years before a dog is ready to go to their client. And it starts with puppies, those little balls of fur and energy. We have volunteers that provide homes to our breeding dogs, so our mama and our papa dogs. So if somebody is looking for giving back in that way, it's a great way to have a little bit older of a dog. But then once that puppy is 8 weeks old, it goes to a foster puppy raiser for 12 months. During that time, you're loving on them, helping them with basic obedience, really just helping them to be active and happy puppies so that they can grow. And you know, you think about, like you talked about painting stories, you think about where our dogs need to be able to go and be comfortable, whether it's sitting in a radio station where you have to be quiet and listen to that, or going to a football game where there's a lot of chaos and a lot of activity. You need to have your dogs exposed to those activities early and be able to understand that they aren't scary and how to react to that, because our dogs could be anywhere. We have a client who actually plays for a symphony in Arizona, and that dog is on stage with her while they're playing in the symphony. You need a dog, a very unique dog, who can lay there and not be afraid of cymbals and drums and things like that. Our foster puppies, that's what they do. They give those loving environments and help our puppies get a strong start.
And not bark during the quiet passages of the symphonic piece they're playing.
Exactly.
That's really something else. The dogs, I was really struck by something you said earlier, Michele. 2 to 2.5 years of training before they're ready to be placed. And the foster puppy commitment is from 8 weeks to, you said 12 months later?
It's about 14 months when they turn back in, yes. And then they're not done yet, because then we're partnered with 6 prisons in the state of Michigan, and our dogs actually go to a state prison, and they get matched with 2 inmates for 6 months where they do advanced obedience classes, and they really learn that repetition. Also, they tend to be teenagers at 14 months, and if you have a teenager at home, you know that that is a lovely age, but we like to get them a little more mature. So,
Yeah.
so they come back and they come back to PAWS between 18 and 20 months of age. And that's when our professional trainers start their work. And again, as you mentioned, we have amazing trainers that are trained. We have a trainer assistant program to actually train people to be able to do this high level behavioral modification training with our dogs. And our dogs will be in training for 5 to 10 months and live on our campus.
I could go down a rabbit hole here. I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
You work with people in prisons to train the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a relatively new program?
We started it about almost 12 or 13 years ago now.
Wow.
So, and it has grown. We like to call it a win-win-win. So it's a win for us because our dogs get a repetition and an experience that you wouldn't be able to replicate in our normal lives where we're busy and doing all of our normal activities. But also it's a win for the prisons and the inmates as well. So for prisons, we know that behavioral incidences actually go down in prisons that have dog programs. So prisons are really interested in these types of programs. And for the inmates, it's life-changing. They're learning
I can imagine.
practical skills, but they're also learning all those social emotional skills. They're learning responsibility and they're helping those dogs. It is really, truly a life-changing experience.
I am just so impressed by that. Real quickly, too, you started recently facility dogs for schools or organizations, bringing them into work. A lot of work environments could use a little stress relief. And if someone is listening and they would like to take advantage of those facility dogs for their organization, maybe they're a school teacher or an administrator, how can they connect with you on that?
Yeah, so facility dogs are specifically trained to be able to work in public environments and work with a lot of group activities. So one of the questions I often get asked is, well, what makes a facility dog different than an assistance dog? There's a lot of things that are very the same in terms of temperament and things like that, but facility dogs tend to be extroverts. So maybe you've got that dog that wants to be friends with everybody.
Yep.
They're a little bit better as a facility dog. And so they'll go into environments and they'll actually work with school populations, hospitals. We have dogs at children advocacy centers, places like that. So if you're interested and you think it would be something that would be a good addition to your environment, you can check out our website. We do walk potential sites through all the questions that you want to ask. You know, what is the liability you need to consider about? What about allergies? A lot of people are worried about what if you bring a dog in, how do you handle allergies? How does it handle in terms of who takes care of the dog at night? Like it's always a big question. Like, what happens? You know, they come to work. Well, they live with a handler. How do you help handlers learn how to work with it? Or maybe you want to dip your toe into it. We have a visiting PAWS dog program, which is where we bring our teams in and they come to your facility for an hour or two and you don't have all of the other responsibility around it. So it's a great way to really enhance a community environment.
It sure is. I love that. You can learn more at pawswithacause.org, pawswithacause.org. We've got a couple of minutes left. We are year end here. What should our listeners know in terms of getting involved with Paws With A Cause? They can certainly make a secure donation at pawswithacause.org if they want to do a generous year-end gift. What else should they know, Michele?
Yeah, you know, we have a campaign going on called The Faces of Paws right now. So I would say check out our website or our Facebook page. Here are stories from our clients and our volunteers. It is the best way to learn about what we're doing and the impact that we have. And consider a gift as you're looking at your charitable donations for the year. Really, every dollar makes a difference. We go through a lot of peanut butter. So a $15 gift can buy a couple of jars of peanut butter. Those dog treats are really important, all the way up to vet care. You know,
Yes.
it costs money for vaccines and, of course, our training staff, which are highly qualified professional staff. So gifts like that make such a difference. Or maybe you have a New Year's resolution to give back to the community. This is a great time to volunteer and give back in a really unique way.
Yes, Michele Suchovsky is with us, Chief Executive Officer of Paws With A Cause. You and your husband live with 3 dogs, GE, a PAWS ambassador dog?
Yes, Madge is a PAWS ambassador dog. She is a full-bred English lab, so she was born and bred as part of the PAWS program, so she is awesome, yes.
Then you have Hattie.
Hattie is a Papillon. So one of the things that's really unique is we have a small breed that we place mostly as hearing dogs. So a Papillon is a toy breed. She is about 11 pounds and she's a breeding dog for us. So she's a breeding mama and has had 2 litters for PAWS.
Okay, I'm going to have to Google Papillon. And then you have Freddie, a spirited rescue pug Chihuahua mix.
Oh,
Freddie
yes.
must run the house, I would think. Am I right, Michelle?
Fred keeps the girls in line.
A pug Chihuahua
Chug.
mix.
Yes, a chug. Yes.
A chug. I love it. Well, Michele Suchovsky, PAWS is fortunate to have you leading the organization. Thank you so much for spending some time talking with us today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Michele Suchovsky, she is our guest, Chief Executive Officer of Paws With A Cause. Be sure to check out their website, pawswithacause.org. You've been listening to WYCE's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program produced in partnership with the Rapidian, our hyper-local news service here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. That's our program. I'm Station Manager Phil Tower. Thank you for joining us.